If you Google the salary for a first year dentist working in the UK under their traineeship, you're going to see something like this. It's around £36,288 as your annual salary for that first year alone. The UK average annual income across all jobs in 2024 is about £29,000 to £30,000 per year as it currently stands, which shows you that a first year trainee dentist already makes more than the UK average. However, I've got even better news for you, because that £36,288 you're supposedly going to make in your traineeship year is actually a massive underestimation of what you should really be taking home per year. And that's what this video is going to talk about, where I'm going to take you step by step through what you need to become a dentist in the UK after graduating, and how the steps include things like registering with the GDC, making sure you get the best contract with your future employer, and how you can maximize your income. So keep watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the video, like, comment, and do all that good stuff. It really does help. So you've just graduated, you've got your degree in hand, and you're ready to start working in the UK as a dentist. The first thing you're going to need to do is register with the GDC for a GDC number. This number is paramount if you're looking to work in the UK, and you will not be able to work as a dentist here in the country unless you have the GDC number. So head over to their website and look at the list of documents and certificates they need for you to get that GDC number. You might even need to take the ORE exam depending on where you have graduated from. So make sure you know what your journey looks like. Then you need to leave that with the GDC for around 2 to 6 months before they provide you with that GDC number. Typically, in that 2 to 6 months, most people will spend it to take some time off of all the hard work they've done to get that degree, or to get to that stage of actually waiting for the GDC number itself. I would say crack on, get yourself a job maybe at Amazon or working at McDonald's or wherever it might be, just to get some income while you're waiting. Or the best thing for us to actually do at that time is to find a job and ensure that we have an employer ready for us when we get our GDC number to start working immediately as a dentist without any further delays. On to the next chapter. Here we are going to uncover what work looks like for new dentists. The GDC number actually allows you to work privately across all patients that require standard dental treatment. For most dentists in the UK, the gold standard is to ensure they can work on NHS patients. Now, the NHS, we all know, is in a crisis, and people might even say that it's on its way out or on its last breaths, but still, it is very, very important for a lot of dentists out there, especially when they're looking to employ new dentists, to ensure that they have an NHS performer number. So what is that? Well, as I said, the GDC number allows you to work privately on patients. The NHS performer number allows you to work with NHS patients. And this is something that is our way in as new dentists to ensure we're getting paid, getting training, and working with a new clinic. And the way to go about that is 2 different ways. So the first route is the VT, also known as the vocational training, which is usually given to British graduates that have graduated at local universities, whereby they will go on a year-long course paid directly by the NHS, which is why we've seen the figure of 36,288, because it's a fixed number for those people on VT. And they will just go through courses and mentorships to ensure they have the standard required to perform NHS treatment across the UK. This is great for those students that have studied in the UK and have all of their stuff done locally. It just allows them to just get in, get the training they require, and have that under their belt before they move on to their next level of employment. For those that are not graduating in the UK, such as myself and many others that are watching this video, you'll have to take the PLVE route. This route in itself is an equivalence to the vocational training that is set up for people like you and me that can go and get a mentorship, which usually lasts 6 to 12 months. And during that time, you'll be signed off by your mentor to show the NHS you're good enough to work on cases for the NHS without any supervision. So that 6 to 12 months will be supervised by a mentor. And that's what your first job needs to look like. You need to find something that is giving you the PLVE for that first 6 to 12 months at least, that will sign that off for you and that you're being looked after by a mentor. This is super important. So when you're out there searching for a job, search for this, okay? And then once you have your PLVE, like I said, you're good to go. You can work unsupervised on both NHS and private patients, of course, and your career should start from there. And here's the good side of working at a PLVE. You will not be paid the 36,288. Instead, you're going to be paid most likely far more than this. So in this chapter, we're going to discuss what you need to do to find a job. And as mentioned before about the mentors, one thing to keep in mind, they don't do it for free, okay? They are usually going to ask for something to remunerate them for the extra work they're putting in to make sure you have everything you need to become a qualified NHS performer. So for this, people can be a bit worried as to finding a job and the salary they get, they have to spend some of that paying their mentors. But this is where the corporates come in. So corporates are basically large entities that have more than one clinic in cases, probably about 10 or 20 of them. They run all of them and it's quite a business model. The idea that they have is that they will put a lot of clinics in areas around the UK that people may not be visiting so often, or people may not want to live around as dentists. So take, for example, the Northwest or the South in general, the Southwest, where there are massive NHS shortages. These corporates will make sure that they have clinics in these geographical areas. But then who wants to work there? A lot of dentists aren't going to be looking for jobs in those areas. That's where us PLVE guys come in. For them, we are people that they can pay a little less to, but we can do the same job as many other dentists would in some of these more deprived for dentist areas. So the upside to working with a corporate is that you will most likely find a job very, very quickly. The other thing is they help with visa applications. So for those that need it in the UK, they can definitely help you out. And then of course, beyond that, they will pay for your mentorship, which is awesome news. It means that the money that you get is pretty much yours and everything else they'll sort out with the mentor anyway. The downside, of course, is you're not going to be going into places such as London, for example, which a lot of people do want. You'll probably end up in a more rural location that might not be your first choice. But this is an excellent sacrifice to make, at least for the first couple of years, because after that, you'll have the freedom to go where you want and the experience to do so. So here's my favorite chapter, the money. So we're going to discuss income here. When you end up at the contractual stage and you're negotiating things with your future employer, you're going to go about what's known as a UDA agreement. Now the UDA is a unit of dental activity which all NHS workers in dentistry must work by. It's like if you do one UDA, you get paid X, and each procedure that you do in dentistry has a set number of UDAs attached to it. For example, a routine checkup might just be 1 UDA, whereas a filling would be 3, and so on and so forth. There are 3 different bands of treatment, a couple of subdivisions within band 2, for example, and each of them outline what procedure goes under what band and how many UDAs you'll get per band of treatment. So for example, if I was to do 1 filling, that would be, as I said, 3 UDAs. And on the same patient, if I was to do 10 fillings, that would still just be 3 UDAs. At the beginning, you'll be asked 2 things. How many UDAs can you do? And how much should you be getting per UDA? And you'll be negotiating that. Now, from experience that I've been speaking to different dentists, they say for new dentists, you should be aiming for anything between 4,000 and 5,000 UDAs. Typically, employers will give you a range between anything from 3,000 up to 6,000. And I would say those on the 3,000 scale are those with very little confidence and that kind of want to take things very slow. I wouldn't recommend that. And 6,000, you're going to be really stretching yourself, especially if you are completely new to dentistry with patients in the UK. So stick between 4,000 and 5,000. If you can cover that for your year, your UDA target, that would be awesome. Now you'll also be asked how much, or not asked really, you'll be negotiating for your own well-being, the UDA rate that you'll be on. On average, for new dentists in their traineeship, it's between £10 and about £12 max. So what we'll do for this example is say we are doing 4,500 UDAs per year for this contract at £11. Okay, so that's what we're going to use for this example. And then if we were to do this 4,500 over the course of the year at the £11, we'll be making £49,500 as our gross annual income for our first year of being a trainee dentist, which is a lot more than that £36,000 stated by the NHS on Google earlier. So with 4,500 UDAs, you're looking at around 94 UDAs per week if you take a month off in the year as well, which is quite achievable for the average dentist, especially in their early years anyway. That means that with that 94 UDAs that you're doing every single week, you should still have some time left over to do private work. And a lot of people say, why would anybody come to you as a new dentist and ask for any private work? The truth is, they see you as a dentist. They don't really know that you're a trainee dentist. And if you're confident enough in your work, you can quite easily offer private work as well. The main thing is you do not want to eat into your UDA time through your private work. So long as you're on track with your UDAs for the day, the week, or the month, you should dedicate some time to your private work, so long as your principal dentist or your employer allows that. Typically, if we were to say you were just taking home £300 per week by doing private work, and that's a very conservative figure, by the way, just £300 a week, you'd be making an extra £14,400 every year. And if we combine that with your base salary of £49,500, that's a whopping £63,900 that you could take as your gross income for the year. As I said, this is a very conservative figure, and if you actually have the time to do your UDAs at £4,500 in the year, it shouldn't be a problem for you to do a little bit of private work here and there as well. And one thing that I like to do, which I'd recommend for everyone else to do, is to just go onto any UK dental clinic website, and so long as they're private, they will have their price lists on there. So you can kind of experiment around there and see, oh, if I was to do 3 fillings in a day, how much would I make? And the way to work it out is quite simple. You will take the price list, let's say for example, it's £100 for whatever procedure it might be, and you basically take half of that for yourself. The other half goes towards the clinic. And that's how much money you'd be making per procedure. So let's delve in a little bit deeper. There's a rural location in the southeast of the country, in Kent, and the dental clinic here is called Who Dental Clinic. And I've been there myself. It's very quiet. It's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. So it's not a bougie London place. But even then, if we look here at their prices, you can see that for a typical teeth whitening, it comes in at a cost of £294, which is about 150 quid that you could be putting into your pocket per teeth whitening. So you'd really only need to do 2 of those a week alongside your UDAs to ensure you hit that £300 private target that we were talking about earlier. Again, get online, check different locations, different private clinics, have some fun calculating how much things cost in terms of procedures and how much you could be earning. So the next chapter here is to talk about the take home pay. There's a big difference between your gross income, so this 63.9k that we were speaking about, and how much you'll actually be able to take home, because tax is annoying. Usually anybody who is employed directly by someone would be seeing a lot of their money getting taxed. And in the UK, there is no difference to that whatsoever. People do get taxed quite a bit here in the country. Unfortunately, at £63,900 employed directly by someone, you'd actually be just taking home £46,865. It's quite a lot of money that they take off of you. It's around £20,000 there. Now here's the good news. As I mentioned earlier, dentists in the UK are self-employed, which means they're essentially their own business. And business rate taxes are a lot different to those of people who are directly employed. As a business, you need to have a car for your travel to work. You need to pay for the fuel and the mileage. You might have a company phone. You might have Wi-Fi to help you with your business interactions. There could be conferences that you need to go to. There's scrubs that you need to buy. There's so many different things that as a business you require as part of your day-to-day activity. Fortunately, we can write this off as a business expense, meaning out of that 63,900, maybe 20,000 of that is actually a business expense. And then the income you have left over is the only thing that gets taxed. So really and truly, you end up in a situation where you can reduce the amount of tax that the government will take from you because you're using a lot more of it in your expenses. And that expense can really tie in with your day-to-day living as well. Rather than taking home 46,000, it'd look more like 50 or 51,000 you'd be taking home because you've got expenses to declare and then you're being taxed less overall. So for those wondering, yeah, it is worth being a dentist in the UK because you're self-employed and a lot of that money will end up actually serving you more than just serving the government. And there you have it. That's just year one of income for those looking to do dentistry in the UK. Imagine what year 2, 3 and 4 looks like. I would say in a lot of cases, people could probably get that 6-figure mark in their second year because if you're just working on that contract for 1 year, in the second year, your UDA rate will most likely go up if you haven't tied in for a long-term contract, that is. At the same time, your confidence with private work will skyrocket and you'll be offering more private work to patients and ensuring that you're taking home more per day, week, month and year. So your earnings should go up each year as it goes along. And usually I'd say a well-performing dentist in the UK, after a few years worth of experience, should be hitting about 150 to 180 per year at a very comfortable rate. And the more efficient that you get working as a dentist, the easier those numbers will become for you. Where it goes from there is completely up to you, whether you'd like to specialize, go on many courses, become an implantologist, own your own clinic, for example. There's so many routes beyond it, and I don't think 150 to 180 is the peak of your power. This is just opening the door for your potential of earning within the UK as a dentist. And I would strongly recommend anybody who's considering moving to the UK to definitely go ahead and do it, because dentistry is not dead here yet. The NHS might be, but as a profession, there's a lot more out there for us. Stay confident, stay on your path, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below or get in touch with me directly and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Fingers crossed for all of us, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye bye.